he's ever late, I'm going to cut his salary. And he's like, but Heather, you don't pay me anything. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, we're live streaming, so I'm going to mute.
Okay, I will say, maybe it's just me, but if anyone is speaking, Mr. Bang or Michelle, we can't hear you.
No sound.
Yeah. Now, can you hear now?
Yes.
Yep, we hear you now.
Can you see us?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Okay. All right, here we are. So welcome in person and to those joining in and listening later virtually to the February Academy Lafayette Board of Directors meeting. So thank you everyone for being here. We have a really full agenda tonight, a lot of information to go through. I let you know we also have a closed session. So just a quick reminder for everyone in the room that this meeting is for the board to conduct its business. And so public comment outside of planned stakeholder comments or planned presentations is not on the agenda. So we just ask everyone hold questions or comments until the designated stakeholder comment period at a future meeting, because the board has a lot, and that just ensures fairness for those who depend on that time to speak and put their information out here. So just a reminder on that with everything that we have. So to start off, can I get an approval? Stephen, I actually had a question for you, because I know in the slides you've got the closed session, but we can do your closed session at the end,
yes.
Right? Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't another thing. So, okay, then can I get a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented to you?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? All right. And then we move on to stakeholder comments. We had one, but I believe they withdrew. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so no stakeholder comments. January meeting minutes from the board packet. Can I get a motion to approve the January meeting minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Now we get to the governance committee. You all received a copy of the updated bylaws, which I'm sure you read
Every word.
every single word, which, by the way, that is one of the training things for the newer board members. You guys do have to actually read through all of those. But so as discussed, we made the change to add the Culture and Climate Committee. And then we made the change just because we hadn't updated the bylaws since Mr. Bang was promoted from head of school to superintendent. So we made that change throughout there. And other than that, that is it. So, and as stated also, our legal counsel Dana reviewed and approved. So can I get a motion to approve the updated bylaws?
I move we approve the updated bylaws.
All right. And second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. And Olivier, you and I need to sign these updated ones, so I'll get
Sure.
with you on getting that signature.
Right.
Finance.
All right. First item is with the accounts payable. So there's three highlights here. The transactions that we looked at during the Finance Committee meeting. And so part of the transactions during January, there were several Amazon purchases, but one in particular here that we've highlighted is $23,000 in IT supplies. And that included some security items in that, which are the two-way radios. And so 48 two-way radios were purchased, IT cables, and accessories, so HDMI cables, USB cables, etc. There's also projector remotes, screens, MacBook replacements, so several just IT supplies, but they total up $23,000. And then there was 6 Dell laptops, and that's for the lunch and attendance at the 3 campuses. Second one there is Learning A to Z, and they were paid $9,450, and that's software renewal, so an annual subscription for 70 classrooms. So just part of instructional expenses, what that is. Delta Airlines paid them just about $17,000, and that's for the Senegal trip that's coming up in June. So just letting you know that that was one of the larger items in the transaction list. Did anyone else have any questions about the accounts payable transactions?
Is the Learning A to Z, is that an annual subscription?
Yes, it is. It's an annual subscription.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the January 2026 accounts payable transactions?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any other questions, discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Next item here we have are the financial statements, and from a very high level, we try to boil it down a little bit for you, and that's to look at how much cash came in and how much cash went out. And so during December, the school spent more than received by about $85,000, and then if you're looking at it year to date, the school has spent about $500,000 more than what it's received. That's pretty typical every year, nothing outside of the ordinary there. EdOps puts together helps put together our forecast, and one big change from last month to this month is that middle column. If you're looking at the middle column there, the 1.9 million. And so we think where we're going to end at the end of the year is about $2 million deficit. And if you remember what the board approved was $2.8 million deficit. But the change there is related to sorry, when you click, I get through the clicker here. What it relates to is the budgeted $2.8 million capital expenses. And so the red box there on screen, we've paused on that purchase, the K-8 furniture refresh for each of the K through 8 classrooms, which was $2 million. So we've removed that from the planned purchases for this school year. And so that reduces the amount of the deficit. So we had planned to be at a $2.8 million deficit when the board approved the budget back in June. We were going to land at like a $4 million deficit, but so now that we've pulled those expenses out, we'll be closer to a $2 million deficit. Something else we talked about was some electrification grant expenses. And so I reminded the Finance Committee just the comprehensive bus plan that was approved last year, right around December. And so we went over the costs that were anticipated with respect to the electric buses, the electric chargers that go with that, and then the infrastructure that also goes with that. And so the board had approved with that section of the comprehensive bus plan, $355,000 spend. And so just wanted to give an update of where we were at through February 2026. And so if you notice the electric Thomas buses, they're coming in less than what we had expected a year ago at $365,000 a piece. And so we have a savings there. Then also we do have a little bit of an overage on the chargers of about $8,000, but at the end of the day, the total for the grant, we're expecting to be $166,000 rather than the $235 in that first column. And then the rebate, we're expecting to be about $60,000 net as opposed to $120,000. And so we're expecting to be under budget with respect to the buses, the electric chargers, and like the transformer that goes in place, the concrete pads. And so we think there's about $100,000 under budget there is what we're expecting. So any questions over financial statements or electrification grant update?
For things like the furniture, you think that's going to be just delayed,
Yeah.
try to push it to next year?
A deferred item,
Yeah.
yes. We paused on it. We also, Mr. Bang wanted to have like a committee identified to figure out what we wanted to spend, and that hasn't been done. And so there's also like a timing issue there too. We just don't think it's going to happen this year, so a deferred item.
There's also a lot of moving pieces, you know, our options now. We need to know what kind of fund we need
Yeah.
and whether we can even invest even more money into the elementary school or no. So,
And then are the buses in this, or when are they going? Are they in service or are they?
No,
like,
they're on PO right now.
Okay.
So they're being built.
Great. We know when they're going to plan to be in service?
Tentatively August, I'll say.
Okay, for the next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Development Committee Board. Go ahead and jump into it. I can get through these quickly so we can keep the meeting as brief as possible for those of you that stay later.
No, still cover everything that you want to.
I'm going to.
I just
Okay.
know sometimes we go off on side conversations, so just trying to limit.
So the annual fund year to date total. So note please that this is through December 2025. These are the numbers that had come through finance department. The checks that were mailed and deposited the last week of checks that were mailed in while we were over break were deposited the last week of January. So I will have those numbers for us in whatever next month is in March. But we are at $196,690 for the annual fund. So far, our total is $570,000. I do believe those checks that were mailed in January, I believe Stephen indicated it was about $30,000, $29,000 for the additional deposits, in addition to those that were deposited beforehand as part of the annual appeal. And in our remaining events, just so that everybody has visibility here, Musketeer March is coming up in the end of March, early April. It's 127,000. Goal Evening in Paris is 133,000. We've got a benefit breakfast that we are still discussing, but need to finalize. That is a $47,000 new event. Various grants throughout the year is $58,000 budgeted, and then other AF deposits is 104,000. And if you remember from last month, what that means is essentially any other deposit or donation coming in that's not affiliated with any of these events or budgeted line items. So that could be recurring donation, monthly donations, random gifts, etc. So almost 200,000 for the year. Thank you. I did want to announce, I don't think we shared this last month, but as of this month, the AL Athletics Booster Club has been approved. So similar to our PTO, we are now going to have an Athletics Booster Club. I am announcing it here because if you recall from a few meetings ago, our agreement with the Booster Club is similar to that of the ALPTO. They are an independent organization. They have their own governance structure, but they are rolling up financially under the AL 501c3, similar to the PTO. And so this group, thank you to this group for all the work that they put into this. They have a solid, what is the word I'm looking for? A solid governance structure and a solid outline of what they are going to be doing. And we're just looking forward to welcoming them into our bigger group of AL supporters here. Their next meeting is Wednesday, February 18th, 6:30 p.m. It's actually going to be at Armour now, not the Waldo Library. And for this board, just a notification, the AL had agreed to a $1,500 startup commitment, and the PTO had agreed to a $1,500 startup commitment. So when this booster club gets up and running, which is this month, they officially have $3,000 in their budget, and I think they have some fun stuff that they have planned for that. I would like to invite them to the next board meeting to just come introduce themselves and put a face to the name. so that you all know who they are and what they have plans to do here. But high level, I wanted to make sure that you all were aware that we now have a booster club and appreciate the work that those parents have done to get to this point.
Great.
Yeah. And I will say that doesn't fall under development, but similar again to PTO, we will make sure that there is, we're in lockstep with anything that we're doing fundraising wise. And then just the last item I have here, I mentioned this last month, but since we're still in February, the Oak Auditorium lighting and sound upgrade that was part of the 2025 fund need during Evening in Paris, that is going to take place the last week of this month. So the 23rd through the 25th, our vendor is A to Z Theatrical. We did raise $28,000 for that. Our goal is $25,000, and our total contracted cost is $29,000, and that includes some electrical needs that were not included in that original quote. But just want to reiterate, thank you to our families, thank you to our donors for making this possible. And at the end of this month, we're going to have an upgraded auditorium at Oak. I think that's all I have.
All right. All right, Performance Committee, and I did see Lauren has joined.
Yes. So we reviewed two sets of data, the Student Discipline report for the semester one and the attendance report for semester one. So we did it by here were a number of students here, the number of incidents is completely different. So what you have here is the aggregate of K5 number of in school and out of school suspension. That's what you have here, and by grade level. As you can see here, the highest we have in a K5, you have 5% in you have 3.5% in 5th grade, but you still have 2.45 and 2.27 in kindergarten, 1st grade. That's mainly then, as you see, it's mainly that's what we have for those grade level. What else? So for ethnicity, for what we have here is we have 1.8, I would say 9 for white, 5.8 for black students. We don't have any other suspension. For other ethnicity, a total of 2.46. So what you mean is a total of 24 kids between Oak and Cherry. And for male and female, as you can see, it's almost the same male and female suspension. So for middle school, we have 6th graders, 2.63, 8th grader, 3%, and 0% for 7th grader. With a total suspension number of students, 6 students, 1.83 for middle school. And the breakdown also here you have this time 0% for white, 1.85 for black. The Asian one is, as you see, there's a lot of Asian. You talk about 5 enrolled, that's make it 40% bigger. And then the next one is multiracial. We have 10%, 3 kids. So a total of 6, again, 6 students, 1.84. And for male and female, here you see that we have more male students than female students. We don't even have a female here. Everybody is male. Maybe 2 because it looks like there are 2 missing here. So the problem with ethnicity here generally is, especially when you go to multiracial, they ask you to choose 2 races. You don't say multiracial. You have to put Asian and black or white and black, something like that. It might be same students, but to differ. So yeah, what it looks like here is there is 2 female that is missing here, and it's the same 1.84. For high school, we have a total of 6 students, and mainly in 10th grade. That's where we have 16%, 4 students in 10th grade. This smallest cohort, because we have 24 kids as compared to 35 for 9th grade and 36, 35 for 11 and 12. That's where we have more suspension. So it's a total percentage of 4.62. For ethnicity, you have white student 1.88, and we have 5 black students 12.5, and the rest is 0%, for a total of 4.62. For male and female, as you see here, looks like we have more female students than male. We have 1 male student and 5 female students. And just to let you know that at the beginning of the school year, one of the suspension is 4 student fight. 3 of them were suspended, and they're all 4 girls. So it looks like they're doing much better since then. It was in September. So what you have is 3 of them were in September, where you have a bad fight.
So 3 of them were all
No,
one
4.
incident.
It's 1 incident,
Yeah.
3 of them back in
Yeah.
September. It was really bad. So that's what we have here. And again, we're monitoring those students, and they're doing pretty well so far. We'll see how quarter 3 will look like and quarter 4. We'll report the same at the end of the school year for semester 2. Comparison. So what do you have here? So this is the whole, now, this is the whole school now. I mean, this is the high school, I did middle school, and now this is the whole school ethnicity. What do we have here? 2.52 total. We have 1.4 for white, 6% for black. Again, Asian, as you say, is 2 students for a total 10.5, and 3.26 for multiracial. The discipline rate is 2.52. For the whole school, as you see, there's an overrepresentation of male, a little bit 3.11, and female almost 2. Again, for the whole school is 2.52. So the school is 1,430 students. Now this is what you compare. Semester 1, 23, 24, it was requested by the committee to have an idea. Semester 1, 23, 24, 24, 25, and this year. And you can see where we are. There was an uptick last year. If you look at it for most categories, there's compared to the year before, there was an increase, and there's a slight decrease this year compared to, almost half, but almost the same, lower than 2 years before. So this is a semester comparison. So any question? So what you can see again is we have improved discipline rate compared to 24, 25. The committee also recommended last question about what program are we putting in place to better onboard high school students who are coming from other schools, because most of these 5 are students coming from other middle school and integrating our school. Most of the time you will have in kindergarten, 9th grade and 10th grade, and then in 11th grade and 12th grade it become almost non-existent. It's much better. So that's what the committee was asking, that making sure we have something for better onboarding of those students to be better adjust to our school culture.
What is the current onboarding? What happens now?
What we do is We start school one day before the others, and then that's when we do the orientation, explanation, and so on. It looks like it's not enough. So we need to have a complete program for that. There have been ideas about boot camp in the summer. So, but as you know, you can't require those to get into school, unfortunately. So, but that's what one thing we have seen over the last few years, where most of the fights came from students, non-male 8th graders.
Did it seem like it was a higher number of out of school with kindergarten and first graders this year?
Yes. Kindergarten, one thing in general we will see, every other year, depending on the campus, one campus is over-representing anything. It's very weird. I mean, we have this year on one campus an uptick of behavior issue in kindergarten, first grade. Now, people will say, why would you suspend a kindergarten? Which is a very good point. However, sometimes it's a liability issue. If you don't do anything, it's a problem. I mean, I think you guys, as a board member, you received an email from a first grade parents who I think was planning to come to talk to us because was not happy. And they think that we're not doing anything. And for them, kids should be expelled. But I've seen that for most of the kids, the second quarter is better. There's better improvement. But generally, it's physical and hurting other kids. And we need to do something to make sure that we protect other kids too. And this is, yes, the level of physical in kindergarten, first grade. Most of the time, that's what we have. Hurting kids. We have a year when the window broken with a brick, first grader, and so those kind of things. And we try to help them improve. This year again, for one campus, we have a higher number than usual of autistic students than usual. But it's mainly one campus that we have with and then last year was the other one, and I can tell you I know almost most of the cases because I'm involved. Either one campus or the next one. I mean, yeah, that's one of the major issues we face. We're trying to see how to address that issue. Remember, we hired for each campus a behavior interventionist, and it is something that is still prevalent in terms of I've talked about physical actions that hurt other kids.
Yeah. What are the qualifications for the behavior interventionist?
One did a PA in psychology. The other one is the training for behavior interventionists. But also things we're doing is PBIS implementation to help teachers de-escalate incidents to make sure, to prevent certain unfortunate bad behavior.
Any other questions, comments?
Are there ways, I mean, you're doing a lot of comparison amongst ourselves, past years and everything. Are there other ways that we can level set, how we're doing against, I don't know if it's other charter schools or other area schools?
Well, the only way you can do it is at the end of the school year, DESI published behavior suspension information, and it's mainly when it's 10 days, long suspension that you have the data.
Okay.
And we're not talking about this at this point.
Yeah. And I know every school is gonna enforce it differently. And
Yeah.
it's why I'm figuring it's kind of hard to really compare.
Finding a way to prevent this suspension for early grades would be great. we should say that for middle school is still limited. Again, I don't know what's going to happen for the next semester.
Yeah.
I think elementary school, from what I heard, there's an improvement there compared to most of these things were first quarter, now second quarter, so there's an improvement. They only have one, at this point, one critical case that they're working on.
I just want to say that I really look forward to us leaning into our new Climate and Culture Committee. Because I do think we have so many opportunities to infuse a level of pride and respect and honor in being a part of this family. And so I'm excited about the work we get to do moving forward. Because I think that's going to help as we are welcoming students from the greater Kansas City area. I think it's going to be true in regards to our kindergarten families. I just think that we talk about this every year, but I think there's so many missed opportunities and really infusing a sense of pride and ownership. And ironically, I just left Mark Ames, our team played tonight, and walking on this campus, and I'm proud about private schools. In the atmosphere they create, I think we can still mimic that. You know, not that we're obviously a private school, but the idea of we have such a great family here, we have a great community here, we have amazing students here, and I think as we really infuse that into our families, as we onboard them at every level, that'll really help us keep down some of the chaos of I guess the transition. We're all on the same team, we're working toward the same common objective. I think the Climate and Culture Committee can really take an active role in helping to create that.
Lauren or Jan, do you want to add something as member of the committee?
I think you covered it. I mean, we had those same discussions, so I appreciate the discussions brought up tonight about kindergarten and other things. And we did ask Mr. Mbeng to look, at these numbers over time, and we think we should continue to do so as they continue to enhance kind of addressing this.
Yeah, I agree. You guys have already discussed a lot of what we talked about in our meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mbang, for going back and putting the comparisons into the chart so that folks can see kind of where we are year over year with some of the plans that you all have implemented. And hopefully, as we go forward, we'll continue to see some changes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
but it is exciting, just to add on to what you said, Lisa, about the Culture and Climate Committee.
Yeah,
it's like now you're ready, and
that's going to be big.
Yeah.
Big help
for families, not just for the students. Yeah.
So these are the attendance for semester one by buildings. So it's higher than last year. You can see that. This time last year was 95.69. This is only semester one. The OS hubs provide attendance all the way to end of January. So please note that generally semester one is always higher than the rest of the semester two. As we move forward, it will decline. What we're aiming to get, i.e., at 92%, is what we budgeted, and it would be good to be able to get there, or to do more than that. So as you see, it's almost the same for all the schools. It's good to see that high school is 96%, which is good for high school. And if you look at by ethnicity, it's almost around 95%. So this is what we have. Between 94 and 96% for attendance.
I have a quick question of these. Sorry.
Yes?
I was just thinking about it as I was looking at these. How do we account for attendance for the 7th grade students who are going to go in their French trip? When they're gone for 2 weeks, does that count as attending? Is it considered instruction, or are they counted as absent?
It's attendance because part of our program.
Right.
So one thing, if you do the comparison, generally Hispanics last year was 98%. It's higher than this year. I don't know if this current situation has something to do with it. I don't know, but they had a highest attendance last school year at 98%. So this is by category, gender, special education, and ELL. Boys and girls is almost the same.
Interesting.
And friendly literacy is slightly, what is this? Why is it's gone?
I think we're still online though.
You're online, it's the TV that's having a problem. You can hear me, guys?
Yeah,
Yes, I can hear
Yeah, we
you.
can hear you
and
fine.
we can see your
The
screen.
problem is the TV. There's something crazy.
And they can see your screen, so
You can
that's
see my
good.
screen. I'm going to try to project again over there. Hopefully everything will be fine. I hate technology, it's the problem. Anytime you think you get everything and then it starts acting out. So, okay, we're back to the projections. So it's
What's FRL? I'm sorry.
pre-reduced, it's socioeconomic, lower socioeconomic. So what we see here is the only category that goes below 94% is only slightly. ELL is English language learners, and IEP is for students with disability. Okay, this is a comparison from semester last year and this year. The red is last school year, and the blue is this year. As you can see, it's slightly better, look 2 percentage point higher. If you look at the right part, last year our district we were at 93.21, and this year we're 95.69. And every category is higher. So better attendance rate can reduce lunch or slightly lower attendance than others. Any question, comment?
Is there any reason you think this year is slightly better than last year, or just how it works out sometimes?
Well, that's a very good point. There is, I don't know if any principal who can venture to say anything, but I guess at this point, probably we're getting back to normalcy. I hope so. Because prior to COVID, this is the kind of attendance we had way before. It's only after COVID that, I mean, it's nationwide issues of attendance. So I'm trying to think about getting back to normalcy for this year. Because the last 2 years were almost the same about start time and what else. So it may be also
The buses were
the
good
buses.
last year.
Yeah, the buses, we have a buses issue a little bit last year, more than this year. Second one is, I can say that it's the second or third year we're implementing PBIS. Probably we have better work on helping with behavior management, but I cannot say that's the cause. Let's see at the end of the school year how it look like, if it's going to unfold like that. But again, prior to COVID, we had this kind of attendance rate prior to that.
And I think these attendance rates are great. You know, it always is a good reminder for parents that the most important place for them to be is in school. It's just kind of a nice reminder, but that the numbers look great. So, you know, kudos to what you've done to increase that.
Thank you. So the next one is longer than usual. Usually I don't have this many items, but there are things that we need to deal with. And then, so this is the usual recognition we have here for Cherry. Cherry had a fantastic literacy night. Was really good. So bravo to Cherry Literacy Committee, Audrey Rance, Ashley Rance, Alexander Mell, Sarah Logan, Linda Harris, Reese Natson, François Meunier, Agathe Deval Blair, Natasha Nilsson, Anders Ponchas, Lauren Knight. The Literacy Committee, Literacy Night was a great success. We had approximately 400 attendees. It's really good.
It's really good.
Really good. And the committee worked really hard, really hard. So it was good. For Oak, since joining our school this year, Mrs. Bia has adjusted quickly and created a positive, supportive learning environment for students. She collaborates well with her grade level team and demonstrates a strong eagerness to learn, grow, and make meaningful difference. It's a new teacher this year. And we have high school armor building, Hope Lasota and Karen Huber. Hope Lasota and Karen Huber were this year's personnel project advisor at the high school level, which is a huge thing. Together, they effectively supervise and advise 24 10th grade students through the entire process. Personal project is a capstone event to International Baccalaureate Middle Year Program. It's a 5-year program from 6th grade to 10th grade. So they have to do a personal project and presented it. Project range from animation and illustration to cooking and baking to book publishing and woodworking. The exhibition was a huge success as students showed great pride and excellence in their work. We appreciate Hope and Karen's successful collaboration and in producing this high quality event. A great one.
Yeah, great.
So this is for the report. I say we talked about literacy night. Okay, we send also every year teachers to attend Missouri Powerful Learning Conference in February. It's part of professional development. I mean, we're planning for our February 17 professional development. We're focusing on French immersion, assessment of standardization, and academic monitoring. Black History Month will start. We have 3 campuses. So as you see my picture here, I testified at the House Emerging Affairs Committee in favor of House Bill 2172 and House Bill 2404. It was a couple of weeks ago. This bill, they're banning property use restriction and bill restriction. Remember, this will happen. It's one of the avenues we're following. It was interesting, and I think that the testimony was a good one because the committee passed the bill 10-2, so it's going to be to the floor now of the House. Those 2 bills were sponsored by 2 representatives from St. Louis. So, so it was an interesting experience for me. Now, mainly for HR, we have the contract timeline. Intent to stay have been received, planning for next year's opening and contract to go out the week of the 16th. We're trying, what we do every year, in January, mid-January around that, we send a letter to all staff if they intend to stay or to move, to leave our campus. So once we do it, and then we're going to send the contract on the 16th, hoping to get everything at the end of the month to be able to plan for next year what openings we have, and job posting have already been done. Thank you, Laura. It has been with diligence. It's good to have an HR director.
Yes, it is.
Immigration and visa, immigration attorney Sarah Noon came on site to discuss current immigration issues and timeline with our staff. So as you know, there are a lot of anxiety among our staff. We invited her to come and answer questions and talk about it. One of the couple of issues that, as you know, H-1B at $100,000. I don't know what school can do it, but those who are already in place are exempt from that. So, but if you have new staff, would be problematic. So, workers' compensation and compliance, OSHA 300 law posted at all 3 campuses was a requirement, recruitment. Current teaching openings, we have Oak and Cherry K-5 classrooms, teachers that we need for next year. We also need special education teacher and ELA. Non-teaching position opening is vice principal at Oak, we posted it, and transportation manager and bus drivers. As you know, the transportation manager has been in our budget for the last, how many years? 4 years now? we've not hired, since we
It's at least 3.
since we started it, at least 3, but we're trying to get a transportation manager. So one thing that I would like, I think it did not exist before, is a director of special program that we need to authorize to hire. Why? Since the beginning of the school, in this school, we contracted. It wasn't a real employee, it's a contract with services. And the person is retired. Now we're hiring somebody to be our employee to do the job. So that's what we are requesting from the board, because it's a new, I mean, even though we paid somebody, but we hired somebody to get part of it. That's why I was asking if we can have a motion to authorize the recruitment. The reason is I don't want to, any auditing came and say, hey, why did you do that? So that's why.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
So is the director of special programs, is that special ed, and then is it also title programs?
It's going to be everything. That special education program, Title I, and the ELL, and everybody. It's going to be wider.
Thanks.
Is there a budget impact when you compare the amount that we used to pay to the contractor to the amount that you're going to be paying this director of special programs?
The comparison, I guess with what we're doing is going to be 75% almost coming from this person, the contractor. The contractor was extremely expensive. We're talking about working how many days a week? A month, maybe 8 days a month for almost more than half of the salary of a special program.
So essentially it's going to be a budget saving. Having this person in-house is a budget saving?
No, I'm not saying, it's not going to be a budget saving. It's going to, what I'm saying is 75% of the salary would be covered by what we're paying already now.
Okay.
So 25% higher to.
Probably, yes. And it's going to be covering more.
We're getting more.
It's going to be covering more.
Yeah.
So that's something we've seen coming anyway, because the person is retiring after how many years? 6 years with us. Just understand that it used to be much, much higher. We had to cut it a little bit, but now we're too big. We're too big to continue to contract what we have.
And the timing of that recruiting, is it this fiscal year, or is it going to be something we can put in the budget for next year?
It's for next school year, for next budget.
Okay.
All right.
You can, that's for next school year, not this year.
So that'll be included in that budget.
It'll be next year's budget.
Yes.
Great.
All right. Can I get a motion to authorize the recruitment of a director of special programs?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Kelly?
Thank you.
Any more discussion or additional questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oops, forgot about that. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
So,
I had a quick question. Can we go back for a second? Yeah.
Yeah.
A quick question. Yeah. On the intent to stay, how does teacher retention is shaping out to be this year? Do we have comparisons to prior years? Is it going to be a year where we need to recruit a lot of new teachers, or can you see some signs already?
No, there's nothing worrisome or that creates some attention compared to previous years. So, but, as I said, the only data valid for me is once the school open and teachers are there.
Right.
Because every year, but there's no trend, no information showing that there's a lot. In fact, I think we may have less at this point intend to leave as a French classroom teacher.
That's
we
great.
have a little bit more English or special ed leaving, and less French teachers. So yeah.
Which is good, knowing how hard it's going to be now how much harder it's going to be now to recruit French-speaking teachers. So it's good if we can retain more of them.
Yeah, but we always budget that we'll have 10% attrition for next year. So 10% is what we have now is much less than that. So we'll see. It's harder, of course, as you said, to recruit French-speaking teachers. Yeah. It's very, very hard. Knowing that the website we used to use has closed and now taken over by the French government, and the French IFF at this point allow only for schools that are accredited, meaning following the French government curriculum to post there. Yeah. So it's more difficult to access other websites abroad. Extremely challenging.
All right.
You're welcome. So this is for admissions. Every year the board approves the caps that will allow us to recruit the number of. Okay, it looks like is it big enough, by the way? No.
Yeah.
So this is the caps for next year. What we are trying to do here is approving the cap 188 kindergarten and 178 is based on what we have now, and then go from there. If there's any change necessary, we'll let you know in June, because we always revisit it based on the trend. So this is the cap, and this is our projected enrollment, as you see it there, based on what we have now, with a attrition rate of around 5%. So we're projecting to have 1,479, like around 30 more students than what we have now, around that. And again, 40 for ninth grade, which is just 30% of what we have, and another 10 students from outside. So it's still conservative, but as I said, depending on the enrollment for our own 8th graders, we will see revisit these caps. As I said, every year we revisit it in June to revise it. Another thing that we discussed that is controversial, of course, with pound guards, of course, because I remember our conversation when we started this thing. We're talking about, I discussed it with our director of admissions and outreach, whether or not we need to reconsider our building placement lines. Placement lines. Why? When I say placement line is in kindergarten, when you in the lottery and then you need to enroll, based on where you live, you go to the campus. If you're at Oak, it is between 75th, 63rd to Maine, I think. So you go all the way to Warren, and then down to Prospect, I think. If you were Oak is kind of wider. I don't know. I mean, I think 31st and all the way to Prospects 2 and going down to Traffic Highway, I think. So what we're trying to do is move it all the way to State Line. Why? It's more strategic because you have parents of Halekirk. They're not part of. I mean, if you across the street from Halekirk and you just want to walk to go to the school or a couple of blocks, as opposed to you bus you all the way to Cherry, it might be a deal breaker. So, and also the same for people who live between Traffic Highway and State Line for Cherry. I think that if you go all the way to State Line for both campuses, it may increase the possibility of accepting and enrolling to our school, as opposed to going to the other campus while you can drive maybe or walk to the other one. That's one of I mean, I'm just informing you. I mean, if you need to change it, probably it will be done probably later, but I don't know if we have question, concern, and so on.
I know how to fix it.
Well, how?
I know how to fix it.
How do you fix it?
K2 at Cherry,
Uh-huh.
3-5 at Oak. Or K, however it works out best too.
Okay. So you're telling me, if you're a parent with 3 kids, you'll have to do those 3 campuses, number 1, and you'll have to have 3 start times.
That's right. No, that's right. But it's
Okay.
to maintain our culture.
Yeah, I understand. This is, Pam is bringing back a conversation of
K2.
12 years that we have, a whole discussion, but that's, I appreciate.
We did it originally.
Yeah, we,
And it worked
did we do
very
that?
well. Yes, we were K2.
Yeah, we're okay too because of the way it works. We cannot have middle school on both sides anyway.
We were actually at K3 and then 4-8 because we
Yeah.
were all in 2 buildings. But it worked beautifully. People did not have a problem with it.
Well, I understand, but I'm
You're in
trying.
that 3rd building now.
So
So I don't know
Any-
how
any-
parents get.
there are many programs that have the lower grades together, the middle grades together, and the high school together, that we wouldn't be the only one. But, I mean, there are reasons for it. And culturally, I think it's important.
This is a conversation we had 15 years ago. It took us
Have we
6.
screwed up?
No, I think we're fine. Anyway, Tommy and I agree that we don't agree on those things. It's to have a discussion. We have a 6-month discussion before we made it. The issue is, back then, I would say 14 years ago when I got here, or prior to that, we had a kindergarten campus. Okay, kindergarten, 1st grade, part of 1st grade, because everybody could not be at Oak. So, and the board bought the building, Cherry building, and we moved kindergarten, 1st grade that was in at the church, and then 1st grade and 2nd grade to Cherry. Because both schools cannot have, anyway, one school has to be that way. We could not have anyway 2 K8. It wouldn't work anyway, because we had middle school already there. So that's the reason why it had been that way. Now, when we have 3 campuses, having 3 start time, parents who have 3 kids have to drive all those 3 would be.
Or the buses now have to run 3 routes
3 routes
instead of 2.
So,
So we need more buses.
I understand that, but we're thinking that at this point, everybody knows, one of the reasons also is the decline in student population in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes I'm just inviting Pam to get back to when the school wants to survive and you and Carlos were looking for students. Back then, you were more interested in filling down classes than who will be there because of survival. At this point, we are at the level where there's a decline of enrollment. We don't need to maximize our enrollment. That's as opposed to trying to figure out who's there or not. So that's one of the reasons. We don't have to, to figure it out now, but I thought that I'll bring it here for the board to think about what we can do.
When you think about, we talk about the decline in enrollment, is it based off of population or based off of the options?
Population.
Okay.
It's nationwide.
Right, that's what
And MCPSA, our Charter School Association, did a projection for the next whatever. We're doing much better than what they projected for us. They saw that based on our population, our demographic, and whoever was there, they're projecting the last 2 years that we will decline. In fact, we're increasing. But you can see that it's more challenging to fill a kindergarten classroom than before. And we've done better than, if you look at the Show Me Casey application, we've done better than anybody else, member of that. But, we think that if proximity of the campus for those people living between Maine and and State Line, or between State Line and traffic way traffic way would make a difference.
I think there are school districts that have like a 6th grade campus. You know, I mean, like almost 1 or 2 grade levels. I don't think it's atypical to do it. And maybe it would be a bit different in that you would maybe take some of the middle school out of the high school. I don't know, but get it worked out so that we have the same culture in all of our buildings.
You think we don't have it now?
I do. I think we don't. At least I think we're heading toward that.
What do you mean?
Fewer reduced lunch free and reduced lunch kids. You have to worry about ethnicity and maintaining the same numbers. And that was kind of initially what we were worried about when we went to doing boundaries and not doing the K2, 3, 5, whatever. It just concerns me. And you know that, Elman, that's where.
Yeah, yes, I remember that very well. But one thing though, the lack of balance in diversity, as you said, between the two campuses, is not due to the system we have. It's more, as you can know, we have more attrition of minority from Oak. That's one of the issues. Well, more attrition of minority at Oak, because probably historically Oak has been seen as a, remember, people have this perception of a white school or private school and Oak where it was. I don't know. I mean, that's where we need to make our efforts about how do we make sure. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen this year. 2 years ago we were fine. Last year was bad. It was bad. But 2 years ago the retention was really good at Oak for minorities, not last year. So we're trying to look at it. But that's the main issue: the lack of balance between the two campuses.
Right, and so that's what I'm curious, even the conversations we're having. So is the concern or the controversy with pushing it back to state line is that Oak is going to draw more white families and become more white?
Yes.
That's the concern, right? Because we still have those gray areas, because I live in the gray areas where I was in the lottery areas where my kids could have ended up anywhere and they ended up in Cherry. But I do agree that I feel like the hopes and dreams of our climate and culture committee is we have to create spaces to where when we attract Black and brown families, they actually want to stay. Because I do think that's, I think that's not a greater concern. One, the climate we're in right now, truth be told, we can't target any demographic specifically anyway, so there's no point in us wasting our time on that. But I do think that we can really focus in on making sure the families that we have here feel like they're being heard, they're being seen, and we're supporting our students that we have here, because I definitely think that's some work that we have the runway to work on versus us having any targeted. But I do agree, I think that makes perfect sense, because my kids went to Hale Cook. And so the idea of us not being able, I was never on the bubble, I left Academy Lafayette, but we actually were closer to the Oak campus. So it does make more sense for the families who are interested in Academy Lafayette to be able to have the whole, in fact, we have it over here at Cherry. We have so many families who are now biking to school because they like the atmosphere. So I feel like if we spend our effort on creating an atmosphere, a climate and a culture to where our families want to be here, then the rest of that is going to kind of work itself out in the wash, and then we can revisit other topics in 3 years.
So one more thing also to consider. When we started all these things, Hale Cook was a baby. So we don't have a competition at all the way to whatever, we were the only, I'll say, sheriff in town, whatever you call it. So even though we do much better in terms of academics than Hale Cook, but you have now a kind of a neighborhood school there, and you have more competition.
So there's a community over there.
Yes, so what you need to do is, instead of shipping those kids over there, you create a community for us also. It's more strategic than just whatever, because we need to think about creating that and then attracting them to Oak.
That's also true for the Border Star family, because I was a Hale Cook family and a Border Star family. So I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great idea.
And you talk about adding maybe 10 more kids, maybe, but you don't know. I mean, that's what we have thought about. I'll ask the director to look at how many of those kids in our lottery come from that area, to have an idea for both sides. We may be losing kids who are supposed to come to Oak, or to Cherry, and we send them to Oak, and they decide not to come because they were closer to this Cherry guy. So.
And so once we get to the kids who were in the parents or the families in the gray area to where it's just a random sit, is there any way to kind of break that down demographically so that there's a balancing act there, or no?
So what we do is we just do the lottery. That's what we do.
Oh, it's another,
That's what we do. We just do a lottery and place them randomly.
Oh, okay, it's random.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So is there any way that you can be more intentional about the, I don't know, maybe the gray space so that there's more of a balance?
That's what we try to do at the beginning by reducing substantially Oak. Because Oak ends at Main, and I'm going all the way there. Whereas Cherry went all the way to Traffic Way. So that's a big conversation we had. But now you have Hillcook there that did not exist before or just starting. See, and it's going to be renovated, beautiful. So you need to think about competition because unfortunately the challenge we have now is declining enrollment in the city. So whether if you have to choose of having a little bit more Caucasian Telmo family as opposed to losing them, I would rather take that.
How far north does the Oak line go? I forget.
North?
Yeah, the north side is 60.
It's 30,
60
you mean Oak? Yes, it's 60 cents.
Okay, maybe take it to 58, or
50.
which would then balance, would send those kids to Cherry.
Take it to 50,
Demographically.
68. Well, yeah,
58, yes. I mean, if you're changing lines, you could also change that line.
Okay. Yeah, because you have border stars too. So we're talking about competition now. It's no longer about, it's how to call it, the hierarchy of needs. Sometimes survival needs and prestige needs and all those things. At this point, it's about attracting people. So.
I'm not good with that.
Yeah. Okay. We can report after about this.
So I know we need to approve the enrollment caps.
Yeah.
Where did they change from last year to this year? Was it certain grades?
There's not a lot of change. It's based on current enrollment. We take the enrollment, we add the 2 students around, 3 students, based on whatever needs to be done. So the big change is, of course, if you look at 40 students, was what we approved last year. We were for 9th grade, and we got to 35, 36.
Yeah.
We may have more, because we need to see how many of our 8th graders enrolled, in which case we will have to change it in either in June or in August.
Because for that, you'll do however many enroll plus the 10%.
Yes, 20%.
Right,
20%.
yeah. Okay.
Because this year we have a good list of people who want to get to 9th grade. I think we have 40.
We just finished ours
So,
yesterday.
Yay.
So thank you. So that's what we're trying to do. So.
Okay. All right, can we get a motion to approve the 26-27 enrollment caps, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries.
So the last one is where we are.
Is that the last one, or do we have to approve the calendar?
Yeah, the calendar, is the calendar, man, where is the calendar I shared with you. It is in the folder. There's no change, in fact, as what we have now. We have 1,130 hours, instructional hours. And so there is almost the same thing. We are required to provide 1,044. So we have around 90 hours extra that will allow us to cover AMI days. So should I bring it up or?
Yeah, it might be good. Or did anybody have any questions when looking at the calendar? in terms of the dates?
I can take it out.
I didn't, but yeah, I just want to make sure.
The calendar is right here. Can you see it, everyone?
Yes.
For next school year. Just to remind you, the process of developing the calendar is from the Conseil d'École worked, 3 sessions to finalize it. We have parents, students, teachers, and administration. So we have not made any notable changes here. The only change is next year we will have not really change. Missouri Charter Public School Association will be having their conference in Kansas City, so we need to deliberate and allow our teachers to be going to attend it. It's on 8th and the 9th. But other than that, everything is exactly the same. There's no real changes between the two.
And I think the one question we get a lot is why are we still going to school a couple days after Memorial Day, or after Memorial Day? And it's not always that way. It like kind of cycles around, doesn't it?
Yeah, last day of school.
Yeah. I know you're happy I brought that up.
Yeah. Portion is the 28th before, it's right here. After Memorial Day is 24th?
It's the 31st this year.
Oh, this day is 31st?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there, yes.
Yeah.
Before, depending on where we.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know why people won't be happy to have a few more days of school as opposed to.
I know I am. In terms of, trying to find all that. Do we see anything like a big drop in attendance those last days after Memorial Day? Does anyone know? I haven't ever heard a big report of a big drop.
I don't think it's going to be a lot of, it'll be fine.
I think some people may say that's when we're starting a vacation, but I don't know that it's that different. And then I think the other point that someone made at some meeting is always asking, why don't we align our spring break with KCPS's spring break to make it easier on parents who have it both? And the challenge is they don't decide their calendar until months after we decide ours to let people. So I thought that was an interesting point.
So they should align with us.
Right, they should align with us, that's true. That would be.
The next question, the next comment I made, and I don't want any parent to hear me, but I'll say it anyway, is you don't need to go to KCPS. We have everything.
Right.
If you stay with us, you don't have the problem.
There you go. All right, can I get a motion to approve the 26-27 school year calendar?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Brad. All right. Okay, so Colleen, then Brad. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So going back to
to the school hours.
the school hours, where's my? It's right here. To the school hours, it has been discussed many times, and I think I brought it to the board as early as November or October. So we talked about it at the Conseil d'École. As you remember, when we want to make a decision, major decision, we follow some processes, making sure that we discuss it with teachers, we discuss it with Conseil d'École and parents. That's what we did. We had a general meeting, and Michelle and Olivier were there at Cherry, even though the chance was not that big. But we did it, and then it had been discussed also during the principal's coffee about discussion. So this is what we are considering. We talked to tell the parents that we'll make a decision by March and announce it, but also by mid-April, announce the mitigating measure, accompanying measures, especially parents concerned about before school care. They talked about starting before school care at 7:30 for elementary school, and also academic support. We're trying to do it in the morning that will allow kids to come do their morning academic support. It may be 7:45 or 7:45, 7:50, because we want kids to do the academic support and then have their breakfast. So it would save in buses, because you don't need an after-school bus for elementary school after that. So that's what we're thinking.
For the tutoring, yeah.
So this is again, and then for middle school, those one at 7:30, class will begin, dismissal 3:15, and provide a study time for kids who have siblings at Cherry and need to wait somewhere to study 3 to 3:45, and also at the same time do an academic support 3 to 40. In which case we will need to provide buses for this academic support. Any question about this? We have also Olivier who wanna.
Yes, Olivier, are you going to present from your screen?
Yeah, I can. If you have it, you can flash the screens on. It might just be easier for you to do it, actually, if you're okay with that.
Okay, I have it up. Any question about this one?
So as we're preparing this, Olivier has prepared some information. I just want to remind, our role as a governing board is to, receive the information, ask the clarifying questions, ensure we understand leadership's rationale, the impacts, the alignment with our priorities. And so, as such, this is not a board decision. We're not being asked to vote on anything. But Olivier has some questions and some data to share. So he's put this together, and thank you for preparing and getting ready to share this information. But I think the whole discussion is just helpful. And I know we went into it, a lot of the rationale at the last meeting, but it's helpful for the board just to understand all of this. So I think we want to, treat this as an informational discussion to ask these questions so that we can be comfortable with whatever direction the leadership takes on this. And with that, Olivier?
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring up this discussion. But I guess where I'm coming from is that I remember 2 years ago when we had that discussion about school hours, and when initially the intent of the administration was to start the middle school early and the elementary schools later, and we had a whole debate and a whole review of the scientific evidence as to why we felt it was important for the older kids, the teens, to be able to start school later. I feel this need is still existing, and I want us to understand kind of what we're getting into. So what I've brought here today is a mix of, we know the science says that it's better for teens to start later, but I want you to be a little more clear as to exactly what it means and why it's important for us. I also want you to acknowledge that there are real constraints from the specifics of our school that dictate those difficult decisions that we have to make. And I wanted to kind of review this point that were brought up and make sure that we encourage the administration to kind of leave no stone unturned and really try to think through this. We've already made a change 2 years ago. We're going to make another one now. We certainly don't want to continue making changes to this important feature of our schools. And also, we have to be cognizant that parents, that's part of what parents make decisions about. And, in an environment that's more competitive to recruit and attract students to Academy Lafayette, how will that play? And clearly, what financial impact it will have on organization. So you guys all have the slides. I don't know that we need to go into a huge amount of details more than, but essentially, the whole premise is that, teens, as their body changes, as they go through puberty,
their need for sleep evolves, and you know, when a little kid, you need to go to bed early. When you're a teen, you start not be able to go to bed so early, but you still need to have. You can go to the next slide. You know, so I've gathered evidence as much as I could around scientific papers that have been published. So what is the consensus and the you know, the general state that, you know, teens don't sleep enough. You know, they need 9 to 9.5 hours of sleep every day to really function optimally, and we're kind of not there. We can go to the next slide. So what impact has on learning? Better sleep leads to better grades. This is and higher test scores. We've been seeing the last few years a drop in our test scores. Is it, you know, now the right time to put more stress on our kids as they go through their schooling, and we try to get them to their scores, improve attention, better attendance. You can see it from a physiological standpoint: better memory, better executive function, better focus, reduced sleepiness. And what that translates into is higher graduation rates, more motivation, fewer disciplines, better classroom, which incidentally, that's what we'd heard from the middle school teachers a few years back when we had polled them about whether they would be interested in starting the middle school later. They had told us how benefit it had been to have a late start and have more focus and more, and have fewer discipline issues on that day at the time. So we can go to the next slide. Beyond the grade, there's also just the general well-being of our kids. You know, there's also a lot of studies that have been made on the impact of sleep on depression, on anxiety, on irritability, on suicidal ideation, and coincidentally, when schools have been delaying their start times for the teens from early morning to 8:30, how the positive impact that it has on these mental health issues for our kids. We have now in the high school, we have Kids Who Drive, and sleepiness is also has an impact on crashes and overall physical safety of those kids. So if you go look around now, the medical consensus is very clear that middle school and high school should start no earlier than 8:30 a.m. You have all the litany of medical associations who support these later start times. So there's also been real world research that's been done, and there's two studies in particular, one that was done in Seattle, one done in Virginia, to study where, both very large school district with, tens of thousands of students, and they've assessed the impact of the delay in school start times, and they've been able to measure these positive outcomes. So it's not just academic, research, but it's also some practical studies that show how important it is for teens to be able to sleep during the night. And we're seeing that in California now, they've actually passed into law that the middle schools have to start no earlier than 8 and the high schools no later than 8:30. So I think the evidence is pretty clear that there's very strong benefits to. And I think we all were aware. That's certainly what we had talked about it 2 years ago. But for most, I thought it was important for us to be clear as to specifically what it means to bring back the school time to 7:30 for our kids. So as I go to the next slide, I think it's not to say that there are constraints that we have, and I think they've been listed very clearly with the current setup. So we have now kids that start very early at Cherry and Oak, and for parents, it can be difficult, and we should really legitimately understand if there's a negative impact on recruiting and retention, which are so important for us. We've seen our test result drop for the last 2 years. That's a real concern. There's some perception that the instruction time has been decreasing, and that this loss of instruction time mostly due to tardiness. Though if I look at the attendance rate, it doesn't look like there's been that much impact on tardiness.
but also from the after school activities, the kids who leave early to go to play sports. And so does that have really an impact on school performance? I think the middle school teachers have been expressing they were dissatisfied with the current setup. It was surprising to me because there was a big contrast with what they were saying only 2 years ago, but it would be interesting to understand what happened. We talked about the IB career program requirements that, long hours for some of the high school students. And obviously the key issue, which has been, I think, driving all this concern for us has been transportation and the feeling that we need an hour delay between the elementary campuses and the middle school in order to accommodate all these bus routes. So I want to take some of these issues one by one. If you go to the next slide. So, when I look at performance, I think we've seen a real drop in this performance for the last 2 years. I really would like to understand better if it's really linked to attendance and particularly loss of instruction times. It would be really valuable to understand what happens to the athletes. Are these the athletes the ones who presumably have been attending school fewer hours because they leave early to go to their various sports? Is that the group that has been really suffering from a drop in performance more than anybody else? We've rearranged the schedule between last year and this year. My understanding was that there was really no more core classes after 2:30 p.m. The athletes leave at 2:30 p.m. sometime. So I'm trying to understand how this drop in instruction time has been potentially impacting performance. And if that's the case, maybe there's a way that we can find creative solutions by grouping the athletes in classes that don't meet after 2:30, maybe it's not a very popular opinion, but maybe we should condition sport participation to academic standing. Maybe that gives extra motivations to kids to focus on their studies if they want to participate in sports. Should we rethink recess? I mean, we have some recess that eats into some of the academic classes during the week, and I can understand how it could be disruptive for some of the teachers. Maybe we don't need recess as it is. Maybe we just extend their lunch break a little bit, and we let students choose between cafeteria time and outdoor time. So there's some thing we can tweak around there to address this instruction time. 7:30. Yeah. So we've talked about how it was important to have an early opening for the Cheerio parents. Some of the parents want to be able to drop off their kids early. And I can't read the last line. Sorry.
It's about the teacher satisfaction, middle school.
Oh yeah. I was just for me it was very puzzling to hear the middle school teachers were now unhappy with the current setup because 2 years ago they had been very strong in favor of and recognizing the importance to have to welcome students in school who are well rested and ready to learn. So it would be interesting to understand a little bit about what happened. So if we go to the next slide. So extracurricular activities, I think, again, we go back to the issue of we want kids to be rested and sleep well. Health comes first. If they don't have enough sleep, they won't do well in sports. They might be more prone to injuries. They might not have the grades that lets them play sports. And really, we should, just because other school districts have decided that sports competition needs to start early, doesn't mean we have to accept it. If we decide that we feel the health of our students is important, we should use our leadership to advocate for later start for these sports events so that students can, in fact, participate without having to miss school. So transportation, I think, is one of the bigger issue that is driving this change, as I understand it, and specifically this need to have 1 hour delay between Cherry and Oak, and I think that is what drives the call, because as we remember well, before COVID, all campuses were starting at the same time, and it's only after the disruption in transportation and in particular the need to have buses that we felt it was necessary to split the hours of the starting hours for each campuses in order to bring the kids by bus to school. So I think there's is there a way that we can rethink this transportation and try to kind of come with a bigger picture? Do we need to have different routes for the little kids and the bigger kids? Why can we not pick them all together? and have more efficient routes by filling up those buses more than they are today. I mean, certainly I've heard from several parents that the buses that their kids are taking are barely half capacity. So is there something that we can look at there? I feel like we may have students that are really further out of further from both campuses. Maybe we can use more smaller vans to go pick them up so that we can be more efficient with the main routes. Do we need to continue to pick up all the kids at their front door? Can we do group pickups so that now that we have a mobile app with transportation, is there a way that we can consolidate so that we can be more efficient and do these routes faster? Can we do a partnership? Maybe the school district, I think University Academy, we talked about it, is already partnering with another school, but maybe there's another school who starts at 7:30 that we can provide our buses to them, and then that lets us focus on bringing all our campuses to school at 8:30. So I think this is a real issue, and I feel like if this is a driver to this decision, we should really invest time and efforts to think through this very real logistics issue and understand what it would take to accommodate these logistics in a way that enables us to keep having the students all start at the same time. I think I have one more slide on the IB. The other thing, so as Eliane was saying, I've been also on these listening meetings, and one of the suggestions that was made to the real issue that the vocational students now start early because they're taking their class at Lincoln at 7:30, and so finishing high school at 4 p.m. is a long day. But do we really need to keep them till 4 p.m.? Maybe we can have a flexible schedule where one track of students does 7:30 to 3, and the other track does 8:30 to 4. There still is a lot of overlap, and we can keep them in a strong school culture, but without forcing everybody to be there early. So, and so the other idea is that maybe we could have a 7:30 to 8:30 period in the middle and high school that could be dedicated to optional activities, to the clubs, to the band, to the sports practice, so that the kids who choose to do these activities and are okay with cutting their sleep schedule can do it, but we're not forcing everybody to be there, to be at school. So I think I have one last slide, and appreciate the time. I'm going to be as quickly as possible. But to me, I think the list of things can be really a differentiator. We live in a very difficult time right now for Kansas City. There's fewer and fewer students, and we are all, as we were talking earlier today, competing to have these students, come to our school. And certainly, Camilla Fayed has done a great job so far. But APOs have choices. They can go to Lincoln High School. They can go to KCPS schools as well as private schools. Some schools have later school times. Certainly, Lincoln starts very early. I don't know that people enjoy going to Lincoln because of the early start. I think they go because of a lot of other reasons. Maybe it's for us. It could be an issue that we embrace and that we follow the science and we follow the importance of focusing on health, mental health, well-being, as well as school performance, and make that a winning issue to attract and retain more kids to come to our beloved school. So this is what has been percolating to my mind. I know that a lot of work has been done already by Eliane and the administration to reach that conclusion. I don't know if there's time to rethink it, but I would think that I feel it's something that is a defining issue for our school, and I would hope we don't rush into a solution without really having left any stone unturned. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the effort and for putting it in, bringing this. This is something that we talked about 2 years ago. When we make our decision, the reason why we chose what we chose is all the studies. So now at this point, as I say, it's not working. The middle armor, in fact, the armor teacher back then was the only one who had the 50-50 though. They did not favor any of the two. It's different now after they experimented, and then all of them are saying it's not working. Okay? So I understand there are a lot of interesting points raised, but bringing everybody together would be great. But one thing I want to let people know is, again, we provided two options 2 years ago. We look at all the things and discuss it. Part of it is also this study we talked about, and then made a decision for one option over the other one. Now, we look at practically it's not functioning. It would work if, like in Seattle or somewhere where somebody say, no, everybody start at the same time, then we don't have a problem because the competitions would be starting at the same time, all the things would be the same time. But when you're competing against other people who start early, then it's a problem. And we have looked at some of these possibilities, including placing non-academic at the end, but you can't do it because you have one teacher who's teaching and somebody has to be at the end, or you can carve it anyway. So last year we were losing 2 hours for competition. So that's where we looked at. The last thing I want to say is, personally, I'm looking at what's working somewhere because we have we have high school starting early, so starting late, especially in some district. We have our kids. The last 2 years we started at 8:30. It did not prevent them to go to Lincoln starting at 7:20. So I don't know how we're going to convince them if we start at 8:30 to stay anyway. But anyway, at the end of the day, I really want to avoid making a decision and changing it again, coming back to the parents that it's not working. So that's one of the concerns that we have. I mean, just to remind you that prior to moving it to 8:30, the year before, middle school and high school started at 7:45. 7:45. And contrary to that, our test scores since COVID have continued to improve. The year also improved. The year when we had 98.5% APR. So last year was the year we moved to 8:30. We see that loss of instructional time. What is causation or no? What we can see is there is something that when the teacher tells me I'm losing 2 hours of instructional time, I need to listen. Because there's only 2 ways or 3 ways to improve students' performance: effective teaching, more instructional time, and of course the rest is support. So if you're losing it, if you have to teach something in 5 hours and you only have 4 hours, it's normal that some kids will get it anyway. So, but you have a better chance to increase the gap, the achievement gap, because some kids, they need maybe 1 hour, 2 hours to learn it, others will need more. So that's one of the concerns we have, that when we're making a decision, make a decision that can be implemented and work, and that we can control, because of course there's another issue is bus drivers. If you do one route, you may not have drivers, you can pay them more and see, but that's something you need to think about. Again, thank you, Olivier, and we'll look into that and all those ideas you raised.
Questions, discussion?
I guess I'm a little confused as to the challenge, because we already have, because my kids, it's obviously Cherry and Armor, I feel like all we're doing is flipping it.
Yes.
Right? That's all we're doing.
Yes.
Okay, because I feel like, we keep on having, because the kids are already, I don't know, I guess I don't get what the challenge is. I mean, I just personally, as a parent, even feel like it makes more sense, because I feel like my older child he moves better in the morning than my younger child anyway. So I personally am looking forward to it, because that means my older kid starts earlier and my younger kid starts later. And then the idea of you all putting that pad on the front end, I feel like as a parent, it gives me options as far as drop off. So I feel like it makes perfect sense. And I will say that even as someone who's contemplating obviously my son moving into the high school realm, I do think academics are I mean, more glaring than you all probably realize it, but even in talking to other parents, they really do want their kids access to extracurriculars. So I do think it makes sense from a high school perspective to make it to where these kids can participate, like in the sports and stuff, because it is a huge part of the socialization that we had growing up, and we want our kids to have that growing up. So I think it all makes sense.
And after school jobs too.
Yeah, everything. Because it just makes, even the socialization, I do think as us being a smaller school and then in the heart of the city, just so many opportunities that our kids, we're gonna want them to have that may not be in Academy Lafayette, but they're gonna, whether it's jobs, after school, athletics, everything. I mean, it makes more sense for our older kids to get out earlier so they can explore life, whatever that looks like, whether or not that's tech school, whether or not that's basketball, whatever it is. I mean, I think it just makes sense.
And it's working, right? It's working?
No, we're changing it for next year. That's the discussion. We're flipping it. What we do, at this point, we're having elementary school starting at 7:30, middle and high school starting at 8:30. So because of the athletics and so on, and the IB program is a career program, professional development, a professional career that we partner with the school district. They start at 7:40. So those kids want to have them there at 7:40 at the same as the others, so they can come here and continue. So those are the two challenges. So that's why we're trying to flip it. Now what we're trying to do is flip it. Older kids start early and younger kids start later. But as Olivia presented, there are some studies that we looked at 2 years ago. That's why we did what we did, and we wanted to also think about what is going on there. But yeah, that's what we're thinking, flipping it and. Yeah.
Could I add one thing too? It's Jen. I have to say, just as a pediatrician, for sleep these days, the biggest thing is sleep hygiene without screens in the bedroom. So I don't want to forget that in, the setting of all the hours of adjustment and all the other things we do. The best thing that parents can do is help their kids get a good night's sleep at home, regardless of the hours. And a reminder of that is really important.
Thank you. The screen, that's one of the biggest issues that kids have. Sometimes I have my students, I said, give me your screen, give me all the things, no more. Otherwise, they don't sleep. They're gonna be there, and it's a big problem, the screen thing.
And they don't know how quickly, I don't know sometimes how quickly an hour goes by, it's.
My grandson every night, so. Screen time.
Can you back up a couple of slides? Let me see. So it is interesting because transportation is part of it. It doesn't really solve that thing. If we had if we had everything starting at, 8, it still has the middle and high schoolers getting out a little bit later. But I know you've explored a lot of these suggestions regarding transportation just in general. And there are reasons why some of this won't work. Like I think you said in I can't, was it finance committee meeting? Something like University Academy is already doing that with.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
They're doing with Kaufman. University Society has one campus, K-12. They start at 7:30. And that's what they do. Kaufman used to start maybe the same time or no, and then they have a problem. They built what's called consortium 5 or 6 years ago with Crossroad, Kaufman, and the University Academy to cut transportation at the time. That's why they did the study between them. But Crossroad is out of there because there's a problem. And it didn't solve the issues until Kaufman bought buses now. They have buses, then they're working with University Academy that starts at 7:30, and then they start, I think, 1 hour later, or 8:30, something like that.
So that's the kind of thing I was thinking we should look into, yes.
Yeah,
I think this whole things, I mean, I've not been here long enough, but 20 years ago when we don't have this transportation, most of the time schools start at the same time. I mean, you have the transportation. You didn't have a transportation issue. I remember that after COVID, school districts like Olathe had to cut here and there, and then everywhere people had a problem, need to start time differently and starting differently.
Yeah, a lot
I
more
think
staggered.
for us, before, I mean, we had 3 campuses before our company left us. We didn't think about it. They deal with that. We never had an issue because they dealt with that. So, and suddenly you have 2 problems: finding buses, finding drivers, until it becomes problematic. But anyway, as I said, I like to adopt a solution with one. I mean, what's going on here again? Maybe I like equation with one unknown. I don't like equation with different unknown. That after that you have a problem resolving it. And at this point, for me, I mean, maybe it's not always. It may not be the ideal part, but what we have at this point, the unknown we know we want to solve is drivers. So that's what we want to try to solve here. But again, there's a lot of valid things in this presentation. I wish we didn't have these issues and deal with it. But personally, I mean, if it works, it works. I mean, it will be fine. But at this point, at Arma, it's not working.
Is the joint routes thing, is that even a thing? Is that a thing? Do you ever pick up like elementary school kids and high school kids on the same bus? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, there are school districts to do that around in the country for sure. It's something that exists.
In the countryside.
There's no way I would put my elementary school.
I'm not aware of that.
In the countryside, they do. University they do. I think. I don't know. But when we have a K-8, that's what we used to do at Arma. When we were at Arma, because we had a K-8. So, but again, there are a lot of ideas that we can look into.
Well, I think it's going to help if you have this director of transportation that you're hiring too, that can really look at some of the transportation schedules and really meld those together. But I think because you have so many 3 different locations, sometimes transportation just drives what it is, and that's so hard. So I think your new person will be able to help with some of those routes to optimize what it could actually be. But I do want to put a plug in for recess, and I know that was mentioned there. And I'm a proponent of recess at the elementary level. That's socialization right there. It's just so many skills that come out. And so I don't want to lose recess time for some of our elementary kids, because I just think developmentally that's something that they need.
So I also don't want us to get back, because I remember, obviously after COVID, by the time we became a bus company, I mean, that was a huge financial undertaking, and the work that's been done on top of the buses and the properties and everything that we're doing, I would hate to put ourselves back in a position to where we're now tethered to another district. Like, I really feel like we should do everything in our power to own our own game. There's no point in us having a whole bus company, but then still having to contract with University Academy to get our kids moved around, because we don't know what their school is going to be doing in the next 3 to 5 years either. So I just think that, to me, doesn't, I just don't know why we would retether ourselves, and that we have all these, now we have plot of land, now we have buildings, now we have buses, we have little buses, so why would we want to tether ourselves to another district in regards to moving our students?
So what he's saying is we find let's say, just an example, Academy for Integrated Art, they don't have transportation. We contact with them so that we transport them at 7:30, okay? So that we have the double route, like they're part of us, and then those buses come in to take our middle and high school. So it's a cutting costs, but also allowing the buses to have 2 routes and to stay with us.
Oh, you're saying we would take their routes?
That's the idea. So, yeah, that's the idea he's been shared here. So, but recess, going back to recess, personally, I am a staunch advocate for recess in middle school. That's our identity, by the way. Middle school don't have it, but we still have this recess, which is amazing for our kids. And I think there's a legislation or something about required recess or something like that at this point. But recess is our middle school signature that we have that others don't have. So it has been discussion for a long time. We think that kids would go and be kids and take the recess.
We've got a lot of great stuff that others don't have.
Yeah.
Plus,
We
because
really have a
kids
lot
in
of great
different parts of the
stuff.
metro, that's honestly, I mean, I think our, part of the climate and culture committee I keep talking about is opportunities for them to gel, because they don't get to see each other. We're not a neighborhood school.
Right.
So it is their
We don't
recess
wanna
when they
be
get
a
to hang
neighborhood
out
school,
and
that's right.
play with their friends. So I think that, I agree, I think that's important for our middle school kids too, to even create that culture to where they actually build friendships.
That is true. Because you can literally go through a whole year at school without some of the people in any of your classes. Yeah, and you don't get to know them.
Which is why I feel like even the reading thing that we did, I mean, that's why, because the kids can't wait to get together. And even now, when my kids are out and about and they run in, they see their uniforms, they're like running. They'll run into kids from Oak, like, oh, are you from? Because they're so hungry to hang out. So I definitely think our recess, it serves our children and their unique experience at Academy Lafayette.
Well, again, thank you. We'll look into these things before a final decision is made, and no later than March, because parents want to know what's happening, and then we need to announce also whatever decision we make, what measures we're taking to address parents' concern about before after-school program.
And I assume that part of not only, the flip-flop, it's also optimum start time. Instead of 7:30, 8:30, is it 7:45, 8:45, or things? I mean,
Yeah.
you probably don't have a lot more flexibility.
We don't have a lot of, I wish we were like the district, because if we were able, we got fine to be able to start at, 8 and 9 o'clock, something what we used to do, we would still have 30 minutes kind of, or 7:45 and 7:45. But I'm afraid that in our parent community, starting element at 9 would not work. I mean, the district start here, the school start at 9:15. I mean, can we afford to do that? That's going to be really, really problematic for our family to accept. Already 8:30 has been a problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I think if you move anything, you still have to have a drop off at 7:30, because
Yeah,
what
that's
is so
That
strongly
would be
heard
fine.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, strongly heard from parents, I have to be at work at 8. Yes. Okay, so I know you told the community, final decision, information about when buildings would be open, all of that by March. So if we have any other questions on this, we send them to you?
Yes, we will continue to have the conversation with the parents.
Yeah.
And I know it's not it's not as simple as we think it is. Nothing is simple when we take a decision here, because we need to make sure we're thinking of all aspects of the issue.
Yeah, it's a lot. And will you let the board know before the parents know, like what your final?
Yes, we'll do it.
Do we get to know beforehand?
Yeah, we'll do it. I know the parents, we'll do that.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. Thank you.
Okay.
Send out an email to us, and then I'll hit send on.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I know it's, I wish I do not have to make these kind of changes. It's just not fun. Now, what President, you have anything? Now we can
I
go
have
into
nothing other
closed session.
than, we're gonna go into closed session. So, I think first, can I get a motion to adjourn the open session and go into closed session to discuss real estate and personnel matters?
You can just adjourn the open session. You can just adjourn us.
We're adjourned. Can we now go into?
There you go.
Can I get a motion to go into closed session to discuss real estate?
Session to discuss real estate.
And personnel matters?
Oh, and personnel matters.
Yes. All right. Okay.
You're the boss.
Like, I just said that. We need to roll call vote. So
Sorry, who made the motion and who
Pam
I made the motion.
and then Brad. And so roll call vote to go in. Michelle, yes.
Pam, yes?
Lisa, yes.
Kelly, yes.
Brad, yes.
Olivier,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and Gloria.
Yes.
All right, we will take a 3-minute break to clear the room and end the live stream.
That's right.
Do we need to change are we staying where we are?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
will
stay
we
where you
stay
are.
on? Will we
Yes,
be able to
just
stay on? Okay, great.
Yes, just stay on the Zoom.
Okay, great. Thanks.
We're stopping the live stream
Yeah.
and we'll start here in just a couple minutes.
In all of the